Hey everybody, PJ here. Okay, so we're live. You guys are gonna have to bear with me a little bit. This is my first live with this setup in particular. I've done live streams before, but they're more event live streams. Those of you who've watched them would know I attend a lot of the Alberta Prosperity Project live events, and I try to, show them live. This is live, people. Please bear with me. So thank you everyone for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you who take time out of your day to, share this moment with me when I try to convey information when it comes to Alberta independence and the movement around it. I want to take the opportunity to also thank each and every one of my channel members. You guys are much appreciated. I couldn't do this without you guys. Thank you so much. And again, thank you to everyone who tunes in each and every day. Okay, there's a few of you here. I can see already. Are you guys able to hear me okay? I want to have a sound check here to make sure that you guys are able to hear me fine. Again, bear with me. I literally just set this stuff up. I I do more of a podcast format, and that is going to continue because that is my favorite format. It's more something that is voice. You can literally just put it on your vehicle, and you're driving on the highway, and you're able to listen to the information, dissect it while you're going about your day. But I definitely wanted to get a little bit more personal with you guys. I wanted to introduce myself because you guys probably wonder who's the guy behind the voice. Who is this dude sharing information about this province up in Canada? At least for those of you south of the border, which is a good chunk of my audience. Who is this guy just north of the 49th parallel who's talking about Alberta wanting to separate from the rest of Canada? So yeah, my name is PJ. I am an Albertan, but an Albertan by choice. I was not born in Alberta, though my family is from here. My wife, my children are born and raised, multiple generations on my wife's side. I chose this place over a decade ago, and I fell in love from the moment I stepped foot on this land. I fell in love with its people, fell in love with its culture. That is, I suppose, what differentiates me from a transplant is that I actually appreciate the culture. I didn't come here to change it. I embraced it. I love Alberta as it is. And I'm afraid that as the way that Canada is going, things are only going to get worse. And the culture is we're losing it. We're losing that Western culture that I immediately noticed as soon as I arrived in this land. What we have at this point is it's really the globalists trying to take over Canada, and they're having a lot of success. Anybody paying attention knows that they're having a lot of success in the rest of Canada. Alberta and Saskatchewan, primarily Alberta, because it has more political clout than Saskatchewan and a bigger population, and obviously the biggest economy. It's really the last stronghold of conservatism in Canada. Of course, there's pockets. You have pockets of conservatism, mostly in rural areas. You can find conservatism even in Quebec. You can find conservative people, but as an institution, as a whole, Alberta is the most conservative province, along with Saskatchewan. Well, there's a few of you guys who have joined me. Again, I want to thank each and every one of you guys who are tuning in. How's the picture? Is the picture good? Are you guys able to see me fine? Are you all able to see me? Okay, good. All right. Yeah, it's some people say, where were you born? That's the thing that they immediately jump to, is like, were you born in Alberta? Are you third, fourth, fifth generation Albertan? Well, no, I didn't have that luxury. I wish I was, because I love this place, but I am an Albertan by choice. I like to believe that Alberta adopted me, and its culture and its traditions, it's day to day, and it's people. It's everyday people, not the political types, not the people in Edmonton. That place is a freaking, well, there's exceptions, but that place is mostly a freaking socialist cesspool, Edmonton. But yeah, and I love it as it is, as it was, and that is why I'm so protective of what Alberta is. I definitely appreciate it, and as I've tried to study more history, more the history of what made this province become what it is today, the economic powerhouse of Canada, I've learned to appreciate it more and more, and it is something that I'm passing down to my children, who come from a line of Albertans, as far as, multiple generations. But I'm trying to instill that in them, that whatever Alberta is, that Western spirit is worth preserving. And that is also a big part of why PJTheBelt started. It's because, like I said before, I've noticed what is happening to Canada, guys. I've realized that what we had even just 10 years ago is rapidly changing, and it is not changing for the better. Any one of you who's paying attention will know that things are changing for the worse, and they're changing very rapidly, very quickly. And I'm not the only one who's noticed. That's why the independence movement is taking off. That's why there are so many Albertans, more than ever before. And it doesn't matter what the government paid media, emphasis on the government paid part. Doesn't matter what the government paid media says. This movement has never had as much traction as it has today. I live in rural central Alberta, and especially in rural Alberta, you can see the support that there is for this province to finally go its own way. People have had enough. People have like, there's a saying here in Alberta that goes, on election day, it's like, well, they've already decided who's going to be the next prime minister at the border between Ontario and Manitoba. So by the time they're counting votes here, we already know who the prime minister is going to be. And this is one of those grievances that Albertans have had for decades and decades, as I've studied the mistreatment, the historical mistreatment from Ottawa and the Laurentian elites to Alberta. I wanted to show you guys certain things here, and we're gonna be doing this for about probably half hour. This is my first time, so please bear with me. But I wanted to show you guys certain things here. I'm gonna see how I can share my screen. I wanted to show you certain updates when it comes to the Alberta Independence movement. Those who oppose it are already, let me see if I can show you guys this here, already out there. Let me show you guys this. Are you guys able to see this? Hold on, maybe not. I guess let me add it there. There you go. Okay, so as you guys can see here, this right here, this guy, this individual is one of the main opponents of Alberta Independence. He's a former politician who came in basically out of nowhere. His name is, there it is, Thomas Lukazik. I've probably butchering his name, but he put out this tweet a few days back where he makes an accusation, a baseless accusation, and I call it baseless because he doesn't have any receipts. People have been calling him out, at least those who support the Alberta Prosperity Project, to provide receipts for the claims that he's making. So this individual here is running a campaign backed by the federal government to basically have a competing referendum at the same time as we're going to have that independence referendum. He deposited the paperwork right before the Alberta Prosperity Project did, and the the thing with him, though, is that he applied under the laws that were governing before, which means that he's going to have to get like 600,000 signatures, and he's going to have to get it in 90 days, as opposed to the pro-independence group, which waited until July the 4th. Poetic date, I know. They waited until July the 4th because the numbers were going to be dropping down to, I think, 177,000 or something like that, a number around that, and 120 days to do the collection of those signatures. This individual did it first, and he expressly said that he wanted to do it to ruin the chances of the Alberta Prosperity Project for us to have our own referendum. The interesting thing, and this is what the leadership of the Alberta Prosperity Project has said before, I try to stay in touch with what they're saying, is that because the question is constitutional, the question that the Alberta Prosperity Project is posing, which is for Alberta to separate, should Alberta separate from Canada and become its own country? I'm paraphrasing here. That one takes precedent over his, which is, should Alberta stay? Should the government policy be that Alberta stays as a part of Canada? So that is a question of policy. So constitutional questions take precedent over policy. Anyway, so he tweeted here, you ask where Alberta Prosperity Project separatists get their money from. Danielle Smith's close friends, Dennis Modry and Jeff Rath, negotiated funding from Trump for their secession effort. This, then he tags an article from a leftist tabloid called, you guys can see it right here, dsmog.com. And I read the entire article, and they're basically saying that they infiltrated one of the Alberta Prosperity Project events, which I don't doubt. These people are going to do anything and everything to try to destroy this movement, to try to undermine it, diminish it, and and discredit it as much as possible. So I'm not surprised. And they're claiming that they spoke with Dr. Modry, and Dr. Modry told them that Donald Trump, the Trump administration, offered them a $500 million loan for them to, try to separate from Alberta, and that'll be the fund. And but then they don't provide any sort of audio file. They don't provide any sort of like statement directly from Dr. Modry. They didn't interview him. They didn't interview him after the statement or anything like that. And you got Jeff Rath here calling out the lie. He says that is a flat out lie. It's the only way Tommy the Comey, as he's referred to by his former colleagues in the legislature, can pretend he isn't completely irrelevant. Of course, lies are the only thing we can expect from little Tommy. Hashtag Alberta Independence. P.S. It's spelled secession, not cessation. He went and corrected him on the way he spelled it, I suppose. So yeah, so this is the latest here. These people are making accusations. I told you guys they're going to get down and dirty. They're going to do all kinds of, they're going to come up with all kinds of attacks, all kinds of mudslinging. These people have the machinery of the federal government behind them. Some of us are making the mistake of underestimating their capacity. I'm not one of those people. They have the federal government behind them. You think Canada is just going to let Alberta, their cash cow, leave? You think they're just going to allow Alberta to take the $13 trillion of confirmed oil reserves? You think Quebec is going to allow this province that sends them $13 billion each year, and the Maritimes, who depend, literally, you have Nova Scotia. For those of you south of the border, this is one of those small provinces in the Atlantic, our east coast. Nova Scotia, a third of their budget, 33% of their budget comes from transfers from Alberta. Let that sink in for a minute. 33% of their annual budget comes from transfers directly from Alberta. Alberta transfers between 20 and $25 billion a year, out of which 13 to 15 go to Quebec alone. And then the rest is, shared by small have-not provinces like Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, others in the Maritimes. And then you have, I think Manitoba is also a recipient. I think even Ontario got a little bit of an equalization payments. It's this Soviet-style form of wealth redistribution that we have out here in Canada. So yeah, that's what's happening. Little Tommy, like Jeff calls him, he's out there doing his thing. He's already got a website. He's got supposedly an army of volunteers. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. You're going to get the NDP here in Alberta, which is the Socialist Party, the Socialist/Communist Party here in Alberta. They're all going to support him, and that's a machine. Then you have the Liberals. Then you have out-of-province people. Then you have the federal government. You have the government-paid media. They're going to have all kinds of support. I wouldn't be surprised if they get the signatures. The question is, which of the two referendum applications takes precedent over the other? And the Alberta Prosperity Project makes a compelling case that because our question is constitutional, it should take precedent over the other one, which is a policy one. And ultimately, they're just trying to subvert democracy. If you don't agree that Alberta should separate from Canada, vote no. The question is going to be clear and simple. Do you agree that Alberta should separate from Canada and create its own nation state? Something along those lines. Yes or no? Do you disagree with it? Vote no. But they don't want the referendum, people. They don't even want the referendum to happen. And why is that? You may wonder. Well, once a referendum begins, there's going to be a lot of attention, international attention. You better believe national attention. There's going to be so much attention on the reason why this particular portion of Canada is looking to separate. You're going to have Fox News, CNN, all the mainstream media in the United States, which, by the way, they're already covering it. I've seen a bunch of reports from CNN. I've seen when they're not talking about President Trump and Epstein and all that other stuff. They've done reports on Alberta Independence, and I've showcased and featured some of those here. That's the thing, is that there's going to be so much attention, and they don't want it to get to that point, because once it gets to that point, you're now gathering international attention and more information is going to come out. These people thrive on the whataboutism. Okay, you're going to separate, but you're going to be landlocked. What about being landlocked? Okay. What about the pension? What about the free healthcare, which is the biggest scam ever? There's no such thing as free. Free means that someone else is paying for it. There's no such thing as free, and our healthcare is in shambles. When you have to wait 13 hours sitting in an emergency room, between 8 and 13 hours to see a doctor, that's not healthcare. That's something else. When you have people dying in surgery waitlist, which is a scandal here in Canada, man, this is not healthcare. And I pay around 40% taxes. 40% of my income goes to taxes. And that's your average Canadian. A report came out recently, not sure if you guys are aware, that Canadians pay more in taxes than we pay in food, housing, and clothing. Essentials. Let that sink in for a minute, people. Canadians, for those of you south of the border, your friends here north of the border, on average, pay 42% of their income in taxes. 42%. I don't even think California charges that much in taxes. I don't even think Hawaii charges 42% in taxes. Can you guys south of the border let me know which of your states is the highest taxed? I would assume California, or I think one of those Democrat states in New England, or Hawaii, because obviously the paradise tax, right? We pay 42% up here. And then we talk about free healthcare. Oh, if you're Faith the Nation, if you're in Florida, man, you're set. There's pretty sure there's no state income tax down there. I was in the Orlando area last year, Brevard County. Beautiful, beautiful country out there, man. Beautiful beaches, the Space Coast. Love it down there, mate. If Alberta doesn't make it, doesn't exit, I might just end up having to go south. Yeah, no state taxes in Florida, fairly certain. So yeah, so these people thrive in the whataboutism and ignorance. The fact that a lot of people, especially the elderly, are going to be, well, what about healthcare? What about pensions? What about passports and things like that? Well, and being landlocked, the being landlocked one is hilarious. We're already landlocked. Here's something I wanted to show you guys. Speaking of being a landlocked country, here's one. I'll show you guys. Where is it? Where do I have it? Okay. Recently, this is little Tommy there talking. Recently, this report came out right here. This is the Premier of Manitoba, Wab Kinew. He was recently elected out there. He's Indigenous, Native Canadian. And a report came out that says Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew refrained from signing a new interprovincial trade agreement between Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Ontario, citing the need for Indigenous consensus before endorsing any major infrastructure project. That sounds beautiful. That's usually what they do. They find these things that are very polarizing. We need Indigenous consensus first. Well, there's a whole lot of Native chiefs who have come out in support of pipelines because they can buy in. They have a stake in the game. But they listen normally to the ones that oppose. Those are the ones that they listen to the ones that make the most noise. So we're already landlocked. I don't know if you guys saw the report in which I talked about Ontario, Dog 4 coming out to Alberta and saying that he's going to support pipelines. Then Saskatchewan recently signed on to that agreement to create a corridor to go to the north with Hudson Bay to connect with the Arctic icebreakers there and transport energy, oil, minerals. There's a whole lot of minerals in Saskatchewan. A whole lot of uranium, which is a very important mineral, if you guys know. And then moving a pipeline all the way from Alberta to southwestern Ontario because Quebec doesn't want any pipelines through their land. They only like money pipelines from Alberta to Quebec. So you got Manitoba. To get to Ontario, you got to get through from Alberta. You got to get through Saskatchewan, Manitoba, then you get to Ontario, and you already got Manitoba say, no, we're not interested. We need to have consensus, meaning we need to have 100% agreement in order for us to be able to build a pipeline. So say you got 10 Native chiefs, 10 of them, and a good 7 of them agree with that pipeline and its importance, and they have buy-in, they have a stake, they got a percentage in that pipeline development. If there are 3 rogue chiefs who got paid by the green zealots and the scammers from the whole climate change thing, then there's no consensus. De facto, there's no consensus. So we're already landlocked. We got British Columbia, the communist premier of British Columbia, saying that a pipeline to the northwest coast of British Columbia is out of the question. He's not going to support it. So we're already landlocked. Those Albertans who believe, well, we're going to be stuck here and we're a country. Another thing is there are multiple countries that thrive being landlocked. You have Switzerland, which is the best example. Switzerland is one of the richest countries on earth. They have other things that they do. Obviously, they're hub for banking and things like that. But they're landlocked. They don't have access to the coast. Well, I take that back. They don't have a coast. But they do have access to it. The UN grants landlocked countries access to ports as long as it's a legitimate nation state, which that's what we're pushing for Alberta to become. You have other European countries like Austria, Czech Republic that are doing really well. They're landlocked. The whole pension thing, not sure if you guys are aware, but the pension thing is an easy one. Alberta over contributes to the Canada pension plan. Over contributes about 35 to 40% in over contributions, because we have a younger population, a younger working population. The rest of Canada has a more older people, right? So a lot of them are retiring. So their draw in the CPP, the Canada Pension Plan, is much higher than Alberta, with this, worker population being much higher and less people retiring. So there's a report which came out from the Fraser Institute showing that we as Albertans would get about 45% more. I think the amount of retirement money you would get staying in CPP is around 270 something thousand. But if we had our own pension with equivalent funding for what we contribute to the CPP, be like on the low end like 350, on the high end like 420. So these are the questions that we need to answer for people. These are the things that why I started this channel. It's to answer those questions and those doubts that people have. Alberta, this is a fact here. Alberta would be much better off financially. They can't dispute this. That's why they come up with things like, oh, Trump is sending them $500 million for them to separate from Canada. They're always going to bring Trump into the picture. That is how the Liberals pull this curtain over the eyes of Canadians, was by bringing in the boogeyman. Orange man bad. Orange man bad, orange man bad, orange man bad. And they said that over and over again. Over and over again. They hammer that on, and with the help of their buddies in the government paid media. By the way, those of you south of the border, your president, Donald Trump, just canceled all funding for public broadcasters. Canada, on the other hand, Mark Carney just promised an increase for the CBC, our public broadcaster. So you guys south of the border, God bless you all, are moving in the right direction thanks to your president. PBS and all these publicly funded fake news organizations are getting defunded south of the border, while we here are increasing our taxes and increasing our contribution to be propagandized, or to get propaganda. You guys know what I mean there. To be propagandized, something along those lines, to receive propaganda, to be told, to be gaslit and manipulated by the media. And that's what's happening out here. They did a manipulation campaign, getting Canadians to believe that Americans are our worst enemy. Americans are terrible people, even though the other day some psycho stole an airplane. I don't know if you guys heard this one. Some psycho stole an airplane and was flying above the Vancouver airport. And while our military, our crippled military here in Canada, was struggling to find a way to go and target this guy, the American Air Force deployed from Washington State and were there and immediately fixed the problem. So it's like there was a tweet I read. If there's something that screams 51st state, that is it. That the U.S. Air Force has to jump in immediately and freaking help us out with a basic crop duster flying over our airspace. The Americans are not our enemy. Quite the opposite. If it wasn't for America, and I wholeheartedly believe this, and there's a lot of brave people in Canada, there's many brave people who have fought for this country and who continue to fight for this country. But if it wasn't for the Americans, we'd be speaking Mandarin here. Like, would Canada be able to stop China if they came to our north? We don't even have a base up there, man. And that's one of the reasons Trump has been going off on Canada, and to increase our defense spend. We're just been sleeping on our laurels. There's not a single base in the Arctic, and we have so much land up there. We don't have a base. If the Chinese truly wanted to take over, the only thing stopping them is the Yankees. It's the Americans. It's our neighbors south of the border. Who else is stopping them? The EU? Europe? They're not. They're all in the pockets of China anyway. They're all already siding with China and the UN and the WEF. So they're probably gonna start speaking Mandarin. Is what they're gonna do. Mandarin is a mandatory language along with French and English. We owe a debt of gratitude to Americans, and they made us forget. A lot of us bought into the anti-Americanism, and we're boycotting them to our detriment, because most Americans are not even noticing. I cross the border all the time. They're like, really? People are boycotting? I'm in Billings, Montana, and Buddy down there is like, really? I see Alberta plates all the time. Saskatchewan plates. We do a big chunk of our trade. The majority of our trade is with Americans. The majority of it. And I believe we trade 10 times more with Americans, or 10 times, sorry, let me reorder the thoughts there. 10 times more of our economy depends on trade with America than America's economy depends on ours, is what I was trying to say there. So let me show you guys a little something here that speaks volumes to just how much more we depend on the Americans. Let me go back to, I bookmarked this. You guys should check this out, this post here, albertaseparatist.com. He talks about being landlocked, and he shows all the countries. But here you go. Here's the beautiful metrics. Here we go. Here's the numbers. Canada exported 30 billion to China and brought in 87 billion worth of goods from China. So we have a deficit, a very pronounced trade deficit with China. They export a lot more than they import from us. 30 billion to their 87 that they send to us. On the other hand, Canada with America, here we go. We sent to Americans well over $500 billion worth of goods when south of the border from Canada. We produced $593 billion worth of goods, and we sent them to our cousins south of the border. In return, we also imported nearly $500 billion, $484 billion from the USA. We imported worth of goods. The reason why I like this post right here is because they bring up China. The Canadian government and their buddies in the government-paid media have been pushing really hard for Canada to realign itself with both Europe, the EU to be more specific, and China. There was literally a post that I published on my channel talking about from the Globe and Mail, which is one of those government-paid newspapers here, where they say maybe it's time that Canada changes its relationship with China, changes its relationship with America, and incorporates more with China. Believe it or not, that's one of the main newspapers in our country. They're talking about Canada becoming more aligned with China in 2025. While 87 billion we import from them, and we only are able to sell to them 30 billion worth of goods. That is not even a tenth of what we sell to the Americans. We sell to you guys south of the border 593 billion. Yet the whole elbows up, chicken dance people are trying to stick it to Trump by becoming the most difficult group of people to negotiate with. Trump made those declarations very recently that Canada is the most difficult. He called us nasty. He called Canadians nasty. It's right here. This is him talking about it.
If not all. We haven't really had a lot of luck with Canada. I think Canada could be one where they'll just pay tariffs, not really a negotiation. We're working very diligently with Europe, the EU, which covers a lot of territory, a lot of countries. And that's the big one right now. We have the confines of a deal with China. Well, we haven't really. We don't have a deal with Canada. We haven't been focused on it. When the letters go out, they're a page and a half. That means they have a deal. It's done. They pay that tariff, and that is a contract essentially. And they can come into the country. They're going to pay a tariff. I'm going to keep it minimal. I'm going to keep it. I'm not looking to hurt countries. I could do that too, but I'm not looking to do that. But when that letter goes out, that's it. August 1st is going to come, and we will have most of our deals finished, if not all. We haven't really had a lot of luck with Canada. I think Canada could be one where they'll just pay tariffs, not really a negotiation. We're working very diligently with Europe.
So as you guys can hear there, President Trump basically explaining how difficult Canada has become to deal with. They're not even trying to negotiate. Sometimes you wonder what their agenda is. I'm fairly cynical when it comes to liberal politicians, really all politicians in general, but especially liberal politicians in Canada, because they've shown us time and time again just how corrupt they are. I still can't believe Canadians voted them in again after the 10 years we've had. Canada has genuinely and factually gotten worse in every single measurable metric. There ain't a single Canadian who can point out one thing that got better over the past 10 years. Food is more expensive than ever. We got more homelessness than ever. Crime is out of control. Immigration is through the roof. Our youth can't even find a job in their own country. You got 16-year-olds who can't find a job at Tim Hortons anymore or A&W. You got A&W putting Indian ads, like we speak Indian here. It's not French or English, in Indian. And you have, PDF files getting a slap on the wrist while our convoy leaders, the leaders of the trucker convoy, are facing possibly up to 7 and 8 years. Canada has gotten worse in every single metric, people. Anyway, I've talked a lot, guys. I thank you so much for bearing with me. This is my first time, so please, be patient. I'll get better as I do more of these. Now I'm going to take some questions. I'll answer some questions, whatever I can answer, whatever I can talk about. It can be a personal question. You can ask me anything, and if it's something that ain't too personal, I'll answer it. Anything relating to Alberta Independence that I know the answers to, I'll try to share those with you. Oh, wow. Kathy Hunt. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for your super chat. Much appreciated. If you guys got any questions, just go ahead. It doesn't even have to be a super chat. Just go ahead. I just appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much, Kathy. Appreciate it. Let me get on my phone here. This is where I'm going to read them, because reading them on the screen is tough, guys. Let's see here. Good thing I'm wearing my glasses. Okay, so I got James Gamer. Sorry, I'll try to get to as many as I can here for the next 10 minutes. Still looking for full clarity on TFSA and RSP and HSFA accounts if Alberta separates. Well, James, here's what the Alberta Prosperity Project has said. Those are entitlements, as in you are entitled to them. These are not privileges, my friend. Your pension, your TFSA, your RSP is money you've already worked for. So there's precedent, like when Czechoslovakia separated and became the Czech Republic and Slovakia, which I love that precedent because it was a peaceful, mostly there was no conflict, there was no war, which is mostly how things happen when there's a secession movement, right? Including the American Revolution. You guys would know about that. It was fairly violent. But Czechoslovakia separated in a fairly peaceful manner. There was no conflict, no armed conflict or anything like that. It was mostly debating and stuff. And the Slovaks kept their pension, and vice versa, the Czechs. So these are entitlements. These are not privileges. You did it. You're not asking for a favor when you ask for your pension. You're asking for what you worked for. So I'm fairly confident that Alberta will be able to negotiate that, especially, and this is something that Premier Smith is working on, and you guys would know about that if you're keeping up with it, is that she's working on bringing our funds from the CPP into Alberta. That's why we all need to get involved as much as possible. Let's get involved politically. Get involved. Buy a membership. Those of us obviously here in Alberta, those of you south of the border, thank you so much for your support. Really, you guys are over there, have a great government, and you guys have this sympathy for us, and it is greatly appreciated. Anyway, James, that's what we're looking at. It's an entitlement, my friend. Entitlement. Team Sabrowski, PJ, I want to visit next year for my 60th. Where do I start? Southern Alberta is much better than where I'm at in central Alberta. It's just more beautiful down there, man. It's like it looks a lot like northern Montana. Not sure if you've been to Montana. The Glacier National Park connects with what we call Waterton Lakes or Waterton National Park. Then you have Banff. Jasper is more north, central, west. We also got Badlands in Drumheller area in the southeast. Beautiful. There's one of the biggest deposits of dinosaur fossils in the world. Alberta's beautiful, man. Stay rural. I mean, you can visit Calgary, I suppose, but stay rural. Edmonton is pretty socialist. It's not a representative of who we are. Richard Rogers. PJTheBelt, what do you do as a livelihood when you aren't on the channel? My friend, I'm a transportation guy. I drive for a living. That's why I do mostly voice. I do it from the vehicle when I'm driving commercial vehicles. I'm not a semi-truck driver. I'm a hotshot guy, deliveries and stuff like that. And I'm also a shuttle driver. I drive buses on demand and stuff like that. So that's why you hear more podcast format. I bring my microphone with me. I share the news of the day. And you hear my voice sharing that information. So that's what I do. I'm a transport guy. TCC Gaming, I just got here. Hey, man. Kevin, I'm going to butcher your name, my friend. Kevin Stankiewicz. I appreciate your support, man. You're one of our members. Thank you so much. When will the vote be? The vote is being pushed for 2026. And I believe that the Alberta Prosperity Project is pushing for spring of 2026. They were pushing for 2025. Jeffrey Rath especially is impatient. He's like, and I mean impatient in a good way. He just wants to get this done. He wants to put it to a vote because he has confidence that Albertans have just had enough. And he doesn't want this to just, to kind of be quelled by propaganda. But we're looking at 2026, highly likely. Okay. Question, Sarah S. After Alberta pulls out of Canada, independence or joining USA, what are possible other provinces that may follow? If I had to take a guess, the closest would be Saskatchewan. Fairly obvious. They are the most closely aligned with us politically, culturally, and just mentality. You meet a person from Saskatchewan, people call them Saskatchewanians. I just call them people from Saskatchewan. They are very aligned with Albertans, especially those who live in the rural areas. It's oil and gas over there too. They don't have as big of a deposit as Alberta does, confirmed deposits, but they, agriculture, some of the biggest deposits, if not the biggest, of potash, which is a material used for agricultural production. Okay, Faith the Nation. Hey man, we gotta have a conversation, my friend. Just email me. I'd love to let you on a live stream with us on our channel. We're a faith-based channel, and we have plenty of reach on YouTube with our main YouTube. Hey man, I'm all in. And if you're a Christian, I'm a Christian myself, so I would love to be on. Welcome all newbies from Oregon here, Team Zabrowski. Does Alberta keep Banff and Jasper National Parks? I don't have an answer that is factual based on that one. That'll be on the negotiating table. They are national parks. I don't see how you have a national park that belongs to a different country in your territory. Maybe we pay them off for it. Maybe they take a chunk of what we're entitled to in order to keep Banff and Jasper and Waterton Lakes and Buffalo all the way in the north. I don't see how, we're an independent country. Take the USA, for example, and you have Yellowstone and it's owned by England. the former, because you guys used to be a colony of England, right? Like, I don't see how that works. We probably negotiate it and end up buying it from them. Okay, James. I just want to join the States as an Albertan, says Knight of Philemia. As an Albertan, but I also don't want to jump into a rebound relationship. Yeah, my man. We probably need to be independent for some time. Although some people are saying that going independent might be more difficult and dangerous than joining America. If we join America, we're joining the best constitution in the world, and we have the protection of the most powerful military in the world. So I see, because take Texas, for example. Texas didn't join the Union. They were a country for like 9 years before they joined. But these are very different times. Alberta can probably go it alone. It's going to be more difficult coming up with a currency and all these things. So there are certainly pros and cons to going either way. I personally am of the belief that Alberta would be much better off joining America than staying with Canada. Will it be better off becoming independent? We've never been independent, so it's hard to know. I'm just going based on the system that exists, which is the American Constitution, and how each state gets equal representation in the United States. An independent Alberta, we don't know what that'll look like yet, although we're answering the what ifs as we go. Any other questions? Okay, let's see here. Kevin Stankiewicz says, what happens to the military base with the British tank training? Can it become a U.S. military base? That's a question I wouldn't know how to answer, my friend. Honestly, I am not certain how that'll work. Faith. Okay. Is Alberta automatically covered by NATO, NORAD, and USMCA? That'll also all be negotiated. Because Alberta, an independent Alberta, and I got this from the CEO of the Alberta Prosperity Project, an independent Alberta will be closely aligned with the United States. Not necessarily become part of the United States. Not necessarily. Doesn't mean it won't. It'll probably be put to the people. Because we will be so closely aligned with the U.S. and integrated, there's a good possibility that we will stay under NORAD. The Golden Dome and everything else. Why not? Faith the Nation, the email is PJTheBelt@gmail.com. It's pretty straightforward, PJTheBelt@gmail.com. William Robel. Another question. What happens to cities like Lloydminster if Alberta leaves before Saskatchewan? That's an awesome question, man. We're going to have to put a border in Lloydminster. For those of you not aware, probably most of you south of the border, and those of you that are not from Saskatchewan or Alberta, there's a small city, about 30,000 people live there, and it's divided right in the middle. There's a highway that divides the two provinces, and the city's basically in the middle. You have the one side, which is in the Saskatchewan side, and then the other side is in the Alberta side. I think they'd probably put a, border wall right in the middle of the highway there. I don't know. Waniska, PJ, did you get the other super chats? Not sure what you mean. I'm looking at my phone and I see the ones I see here. I just saw yours. Thank you so much, by the way. Much appreciated. Thank you. Zoe Taylor, Christ is King. Yes, he is. I try not to make this religious. I try to keep it politics, but I'm a Christian man. I believe in our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And what else? Any other questions? Why are you called the Belt? It's a play on the words. My last name is something along those lines, something having to do with belt. And I also, it's just, just whip them with the information, get this information and hit them with the belt, It's just a little play on words. Okay. Any other questions here? We got 5 more minutes. Well, I'll go till 6:30, guys. Just complete the hour. I'll go till 6:30. How to, take the wife out for dinner. It's probably gonna be mad at me, but I'll just blame it on you guys. Any other questions? 51st state is a non-starter, says Don Rogers. We don't need to add their debt to our problems. Well, you're only looking at it in a one-dimensional way as, okay, what are we bringing into the table? We're bringing, wealth, but what are they bringing into the table? Would you want to be, protected by the most powerful military in the world? Would you want to partake in the biggest and most productive economy in the world? Would you want to be able to just pack it up and move to Hawaii or Florida or Arizona without needing a passport? Among many, would you rather have a much stronger dollar, exchange your Canadian dollar, which is like 70 cents, and get the US green? There's pros and cons to everything, my friend. Any other questions? From the Black Couch, greetings to you, my friend. Shout out to you. Blitz Hacker, thank you so much for your support, Blitz. I appreciate you, man. We have to be independent first. At that point, we can negotiate and see what suits us and what the climate looks like. We have American support on recognition. We need to work on getting that 51%. Definitely agree on that one. Definitely agree. We've got to become independent first. We got to become independent first. The Americans are on our side, and God bless them. Thank you so much, all of you guys who support us, support Albertans in our fight. But yeah, we got to become independent first. We got to save ourselves first, and then we might, join if we figure that it is worth doing. Otherwise, we can have there are multiple kinds of relationships that we can have with the US. It's not just statehood. There's protectorate. We could be associated with them. We could just be free trade, which is what the APP is proposing. 100% free trade. American products can come in tariff-free, every single product, and vice versa. Alberta can send and receive tariff-free. It's like we're a part of their country, but not really. We're our own country, Any other questions here? Yeah, we just got to get Saskatchewan on board for Lloydminster. I like Lloydminster. Cute little town. Flat as hell. Everything past Vermilion is just flat. There's not even hills or anything out there, man. It's just flat. We got a joke out here that if a dog runs away, I think it's from this show called Corner Gas. Those of you from the prairies will know Corner Gas. Like, you see a dog run, and the dog will run away for days, and you'll still see him for like 3 days because it's so flat. Very flat prairie. All right. Anybody else has any other questions regarding Alberta independence, or anything, or anything else really? Let's see. How about a trade? Says Christopher Cox, the second. Yeah, man, you're the second. You're not the original one. What a shame. How about a trade? Alberta and Saskatchewan for 0 tariffs for 25 years in the Golden Dome. There you go. You can't just look at it as what we're given. We're gonna negotiate, right? Trump is the art of the deal. If we get it done in 2026, he's in till 28. We can negotiate a little something there. James Gamer, are you worried if Alberta starts its own currency, it would be devalued by unfair trade by US and Canada? See, that's the stuff I mean. That's one of the potential downsides of going independent. Potential downsides. There's things that can be done. We can have a petrodollar. We have so much freaking black gold here. It's literally the 3rd largest deposit in the world, only after Venezuela and the Saudis. We got the 3rd largest deposit, so we could have a petrodollar. We could also back it by gold, crypto. There's lots of proposals, but you're still starting, and you best believe Canada is going to sabotage. They're sabotaging right now, and we haven't even we don't have the petition ready, and they're already sabotaging. So they're going to be bitter. we become independent, a brand new Alberta, Republic of Alberta, or Commonwealth of Alberta, whatever we call it, there's going to be all kinds of sabotage. Canada doesn't play fair anymore, if it ever did. Canada has become a very corrupt, sneaky little country. No wonder Trump calls them the hardest country to deal with. He got Japan. The Japanese are tough, and he got a huge deal signed with them. He got the Philippines that are pretty difficult too. Hell, he even got a deal with China. He got a preliminary deal with China. And Canada, still no deal, because they're protecting the Quebec dairy cartel. They're trying to protect the corrupt Quebec poultry and dairy cartel at all costs. They're not Quebec. You know, Quebec runs this country when you see just how willing to destroy the rest of the country Canada is. Like, if the United States really wanted to hurt us on trade, we depend on them 10 times more than they depend on us, economically speaking. If they truly wanted to hurt Canadians, they could. Just face that reality, people. I'm a proud Albertan. But the reality is, if America truly wanted to hurt Canadians financially, they could. Trump just wants freaking fair trade. Why is it that a farmer, a dairy farmer in Iowa, cannot send milk to Quebec or to Alberta or to Saskatchewan or Manitoba? Because there's something called supply management, a Soviet era limit on the amount of a good that is in the market at a given time, basically keeping prices up. And they say it's for the good of the farmers. You know what's good for farmers? An open free market. That's good for farmers. If the market is open, you compete. Capitalism, baby. That's the way to go. Okay, another question. Can we agree on proper education on something so life altering, says James Gamer? 100%, my friend. 100%. This is being led by grassroots volunteers. You got to remember that. The Alberta Prosperity Project, these are people who are not paid. There's an army of volunteers. These people are not getting paid to do what they do. And they're doing their best, but we definitely need to step up our game. I am trying to read every single day, man, get my facts in order. I got this book from Dr. Michael Wagner called Time to Leave. It's about the history of mistreatment towards Alberta and the West from Eastern Canada, the Laurentian elites, from the moment Alberta was confederated in 1905 and joined the Confederation. And I'm trying to get my facts straight. I don't want to mess it up. I want to make sure that I got my ducks in a row, cross my T's and dot my I's, so that people, so there's credibility to this movement. You know what I mean? Okay, anybody else? Any other questions here? We got about 3 minutes left, people. Okay, so we're gonna be leaving soon. Can everybody just tell me where you guys are from? I want to read every single one of you. And thank you so much for getting into my first live stream, guys. Thank you so much. God bless you all. I appreciate your patience bearing with me. I'm a little bit clumsy with the system, still learning the ropes. I hope that the video was good. I hope the audio was good. Let me know where you're from. And I want to shout out as many people as I can here. Yar Prep from Berta, Knee Dip in It from Calgary, Christopher Cox from Texas Republic, Beef Wellington from Fort Saskatchewan, William Yeager from Indiana, Justin Durfee from Athena, Oregon, Doug Santucci from Michigan, RC Grunt from Grand Prairie, Auntie from Calgary, Mississippi, the 50th state. Basicer, I don't know where that is. Let us know. California. Sorry what I said about California earlier, but you have to admit it's just Newscom is ruining your state, man. Alberta, how not to? Good Alberta. Aaron from Vegreville. Rural Western Texas between Amarillo and Lubbock. Vulcan, Alberta. Airdrie, that's just north of Calgary. Spruce Grove. Hi there, Lori Patterson. John and Tommy from Iroquois Falls, Ontario. Shout out to you guys. Caroline, is that South or North Carolina? There was only liberal newspaper and no one else could have one. Spruce Grove, Edmonton, Fort Mac. Shout out to you, James. God bless you. God bless you too. Thunder Bay. Beautiful area over there near the Great Lakes. Seatown, proud Albertan. Hell yeah, Blitz. Deport all the elbows up from Alberta. I hope they self-deport. Pensacola, Florida, the beautiful Florida Panhandle. Utah, the Beehive State. I effing love Utah, man. I love it down there. Got to go back to Utah. Salt Lake City area. It's beautiful too. There's a lot of Californians moving to Utah. Roswell, Georgia, another Utah. From McMurray, Cold Lake, Georgia, USA. Edmonton, from New Mexico. Holy, that's far. Barrie, Missouri, Arizona, Vancouver Island, Calgary, Westlock County. Well, thank you guys so much. Love you all. Tomorrow there'll be a podcast video. That's going to be the bread and butter for this channel, podcast that you can listen to while you're driving. But every so often I'll do this too, and I'll come on camera more, I promise. Thank you all so much. See you on the next one. God bless.